everybody and welcome to this week's reading vlog. Today we're actually going to start out with rating some books because I read these two books in the last 2 days. They're both pretty short and I did find audiobooks, so I did a little audiobook and read for both of them. First up, I read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I'm trying to read more classics. My goal for this year is to read 12. This one is I think the 4th or the 5th for this year, and this one I picked specifically because of the name Dorian, because I wanted to know if other authors use the name Dorian for a reason, like in Throne of Glass for example, and I think there might have been a Dorian in Caraval or some other series. There are kind of a lot of Dorians out there, so I was just wondering if that's like a reference to this book or to this character. I don't think so, but I did enjoy this book. I rated this 3.5 stars. I think the ending was a little bit funny to me because it was the perfect conclusion of not only the book but also of Dorian Gray's character, and I think this is definitely a classic that's not too big or like too hefty to read, so I would definitely recommend this. And then I also read The Catcher in the Rye. I picked this up because Criminal Minds keeps mentioning this book and I was wondering why, and I also googled why this is mentioned so many times, and apparently a lot of people specifically in Criminal Minds, I don't know if that's true for real life also, but they identify with the main character Holden, and I think that's so funny because Holden, obviously he has some sort of mental illness because being in his brain is exhausting, but also it's like his thought process is giving ADHD a little bit, but also I think there's like more that's a little bit off with him. I read kind of a similar book. It's called The Guest by Emma Cline. It's not really similar, but I feel like the characters kind of give off the same vibe. I also really enjoyed this one. I also read this one 3.5 stars. I really liked being in Holden's brain, and I really like the type of end this book has. The Guest by Emma Cline kind of has a similar end, I would say, or like a similar type of end, and I kind of like these types of endings. I'm not gonna say what happens because I don't want to spoil it, but I also think that this is like a nice classic to read because it's kind of short and it's also relatable and kind of funny the way Holden like thinks and talks. I really enjoyed it. So both of these were pretty positive classic experiences. I do have Kafka on the Shore on my bookshelf and I'm a little bit scared of that one because that one's really big and a lot of people don't like it, so I don't know if that's gonna be the next classic I read. I also have The Handmaid's Tale, which I also am a little bit scared of, and then I also have I think Pride and Prejudice, and then that should be one of my classics, I think. But yeah, so far from my classic update. I was also on FaceTime with my sister earlier today and I showed her my TBR wheel, and obviously she wanted me to spin it, and it picked Anathema by Keri Lake, and I'm so excited for this book. I love Keri Lake's writing style. I've said it so many times. I just love the way she like puts together sentences, and I always love her world building. This one is a lot more fantasy than the other ones. I also read Nocticadia and The Isle of Sin and Shadows by her. Those two were basically like set in a real world, but they had some fantasy aspects, but not like, I wouldn't classify both of them as like fantasy books. I would classify them as regular books with little fantasy aspects in them. This one is definitely a fantasy book. This one's about Maeve, I think. Her nickname is Maeve, which is crazy to read about another Maeve kind of shortly after finishing Kingdom of Ash, but I really like this Maeve. And she also has a sister, and the two of them live with their step grandmother, and that woman is horrible. Maeve isn't the family's biological child. She was found near the Eating Woods, which are woods that people are banished into. Nobody ever comes out of them except for Maeve, who was placed there, probably brought out of there as a baby, and she is kind of not really liked very well by people except for by her sister, obviously, because sisters, but they're not biological sisters, so her sister is just a regular human. And I don't know that yet, but I'm guessing that Maeve is gonna be sent back into the Eating Woods, and she's probably gonna survive because I'm sure that she came out of there and she has some sort of magic. There is obviously something different about Maeve because she like sees and hears things that either aren't really there or nobody else can see them. Like she might be the only one that sees people going into the woods that other people can't see. I don't really know why. This might be a little bit confusing, but I am really excited about this book. Oh, and then also the male main character, I forgot his name, Savander, I think that's how you say it. He was sacrificed as a baby in the very first chapter, but he survived. And now he has this sort of dark magic fire inside his body, and he describes it as being burned alive all of the time from the inside out. That doesn't sound very fun, but he is the main character. He's also 211 years old, obviously, because we have a human world and I was gonna say fae world. They're not fae, a magic world. And the two are probably gonna meet kind of soon, I think. And it also says that it's a very slow burn and that romance is not the main focus of the book, which I love, because I hate when romance is like the only plot of a fantasy book, because I personally want to know all about the world, the magic, what else is there, creatures, I don't know. I'm really interested in that, and that's why I like Keri Lake so much, because there's so much more to the plot than just a little romance. And I'm so excited to get into this book. It is big, it's almost 700 pages, but I am, I don't know, maybe like 50 pages into it, I think, so that feels like I already got a chunk done. And we're gonna read this week. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to any other books. I might start another classic audiobook. I found Pride and Prejudice for free on Spotify through LibriVox, which is a free, like, public domain audiobook page. I don't know. I listened to The Picture of Dorian Gray through LibriVox, and they say it every 2 seconds, so that's why it's like stuck in my brain. But it's really nice to read a book and then also listen to it a little bit, or to read one book and listen to a different one, so you have kind of 2 different sorts of media going on. Anyways, we're gonna read this book today. And well, not finish it today, obviously, but if I end up finishing it this week, then we might start another one, or I might listen to probably Pride and Prejudice, because this one's pretty brutal, and I don't really feel like reading The Handmaid's Tale right now in the summertime. So yeah, that's the plan for this week. Before we start reading, I'm actually gonna head to the post office, because I just got the notification that one of my romance books, I think One Golden Summer by Callie Fortune, is at the post office today. So we are gonna head there right now. Let's open it up and see if it is what I'm thinking. Ta-da! One Golden Summer by Callie Fortune. I love these covers, and this book is also floppy, so you don't have to force it open. I'm really excited. I'm not gonna read it this week. I'm gonna wait for the weather to be better, because it's still so gloomy, and I might want to keep this for the reading retreat with my sister, actually. So, but yeah, first summer book of the year. So I'm currently on chapter 11. Chapter 1, where Mavis was introduced, was a black page, and then when Salinger was introduced, there was also this. I guess this is him and the other one was her. And now chapter 11, as I mentioned, and this is the last and final graphic page, I think. I don't see any other. No, I think that was the last one. So does this mean that they're about to meet? I don't really know. I think it's kind of early. I wasn't expecting it to be so soon, because the book is big. But I also can't wait for them to meet, because I want to know more about Salinger, I don't know how to say his name. I want to know more about his world and about the eating woods and stuff. But yeah, I think these are so cool. Also, Keri Lake's books are self-published, all 3 of them that I own, and I love them so much. I think the cover of this one is so cool. I love that they have these like graphic pages. I love when authors get to have like a creative say in their books. Obviously, probably authors with big publishers do too, but maybe they like watch the money more, the publishing houses, and she can just kind of do whatever she wants, and I love that. Anyways, so I'm gonna read chapter 11 now. I'm already 118 pages in, so it was also really quick to read. That's why I didn't film earlier. I just read a few lines and then I was here. But yeah, here we are. Good morning. This book is brutal. I read page 225 last night. Oh my god, why is everybody so cruel and horrible? What's wrong with these people? Anyways, I really like it. I really like the writing style and the world and everything. And I think I might be wrong about where the two are gonna meet. I think it could be like a different place. But today we're actually visiting my sister and we have a 3-hour car ride. So I'm gonna bring my book with me and try and read in the car because I really wanna know how it's gonna progress. I don't wanna wait for 2 days and not read it. So I'm gonna hope that I'm gonna be okay reading in the car. But yeah, let's go. Good morning. It is the final day of reading Anathema. I only have this much left. It should be about 20 minutes. I don't really want it to be over. I'm very interested to see how all that has happened is going to be resolved within those last 20 minutes. I enjoyed this book so much. It was so good, and I cannot wait to see how it ends. So let's get to reading, even though I don't really want it to be over. Okay, so there's gonna be a second book. I was so confused right now. It says, I'm thrilled to inform you that the second book will be available in 2025 and will pick up from where book 1 left off. I was wondering how she was gonna wrap this up. I don't want to spoil the end, but what just happened? I thought this was a standalone book. I thought she only had the one with the red cover as a series, but that makes me so happy because that means that it isn't over yet. I am gonna have to rate this book 5 stars. That was really good. I really enjoy Keri Lake's writing style and her type of fantasy. This is, according to Google, a gothic fantasy, so I guess that's the type of fantasy that I find interesting. I really love the name Maeve now. I hated it while reading Throne of Glass, but now it's a good name. And when he calls her Luna Mishka, or however you say that, so cute. And that's not a word I would use to describe either of them, but that was so cute. I'm gonna need to find out when the next book comes out because I want to be back in this world immediately. But I also did listen to Pride and Prejudice, the audiobook, this week. I didn't really film it because I just listened to it while I was doing other stuff, but I am gonna rate that book 3.5 stars. It was enjoyable. I hated, I think his name was Mr. Collins, the one that like proposes marriage to Lizzie just because he wants to inherit her father's estate, even though he's gonna get it anyway, I think. I'm not really sure. Hated him. Mr. Bennet was kind of really funny when he said like, oh, if you marry him you'll lose me, but if you don't you'll lose your mother, or something like that. It sounds pretty bad right now, but it was kind of funny the way he said it. And I obviously also really liked Lizzie and Mr. Darcy, and it was just a very different, very fun book compared to this, because this is not fun. But yeah, that was a good week of reading. Thanks so much for spending this week with me, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.